I'd rather spend an hour working on a digital product that is for me, that is for my business, and that's going to serve me for the future, rather than work on a small project that's not worth a lot of money, and then that will be just forgotten.
My guest today is a multi-passionate lettering artist from the Gold Coast in Australia. In fact, she started designing logos and drawing letters even before she knew what they were called. She's able to build a name for herself and have spoken at conferences like Typism, and she has built her own creative design business from her very own design studio. And Aurelie's mission is pretty simple: to produce the highest quality work for every client on every creative project. And she also thrives to share her knowledge with upcoming designers and hand letterers. And to this day, she has worked with hundreds of design students and is obsessed with seeing them improve their skills. Welcome to the show. Here she is, Aurelie Maron.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, Aurelie, and thank you so much for being a guest of the show today. So, I know you have made quite a name for yourself, and I have seen your work on Instagram. They were all amazing. But could you tell us a little bit of your journey, how it all started for you, and how were you able to, transform all of this into your very own creative business?
Sure. So I started pretty much like everyone in the design industry. I kind of studied design at university. So when I started, I kind of had in mind that I was gonna work in a design agency. So this was my goal right from the start. So I studied for 3 years at Griffith University on the Gold Coast. I then graduated and got a job in a design agency, which lasted for less than 2 years. So I worked in 2 different agencies. So the first one for less than a year, the second one for less than a year. And yeah, like I said, I always had this dream in my mind to work for a big agency, work on the big projects and do all those awesome designs. But I soon realized that working 9 to 5 was not really my thing. I really didn't enjoy having the pressure to being creative from 9 to 5 every day. I thought it was very exhausting, and I wasn't particularly enjoying the projects I was working on. And I was at that particular design agency where I worked, I was required to do typography projects. So I was the only one who could do it. It was very specific. They wanted me to do hand lettering and custom type, and I wasn't getting paid more. So I was like, this is not fair. I need to do something about that and kind of maybe try and go on my own. And so, yeah, after 2 years, I decided, okay, I'm going to go freelance. So first of all, I kind of did part-time. So I went part-time and worked at the agency 3 days per week, and then the rest trying to do my own thing. But that only lasted 3 months, because after 3 months, I was like, no, that's it. I'm just working for myself now. And I know a lot of people don't recommend just jumping straight into freelancing. But for me, it was always I'm just going to try it. And worst case scenario, I'll go back to try and find work in an agency. So it was I was so wanting to go freelance that I was going to make it happen no matter what. So it actually worked out really well. So I've been doing my own thing, working on my own business for 8 years now, almost. So
wow.
Yeah, I will probably never go back to working in an agency. But yeah, instead of working 9 to 5, I'm probably working more than that, but I'm working both, so it's a lot better.
Yeah, and I was wondering, how come our paths didn't cross all those years? Because I have been almost, 6 years, 7 years since I started hand lettering. But anyway, okay, I am still glad that we were able to meet, especially this time around. Well, we kind of meet in the middle of the pandemic, but yeah, it's still great to have known you and have seen your work. Your work is pretty amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
So,
But yeah, I think it's probably because I wasn't posting as much as well. So that's probably kind of like a good way to kind of go, like still explain my journey, how it all happened. So for all those years, I was working as a freelance graphic designer, but I wasn't really posting any of my work because I wasn't really enjoying what I was creating. And I wasn't feeling creative at all. Like I was kind of in that state where I was not feeling creative. I didn't want to create anything because I was so burnt out for doing client work every day that I wasn't creating anything for myself. So I wasn't doing much typography for all those years. And yeah, after the pandemic happened, I kind of got stuck not having much work coming in. So I thought that might be the opportunity to work for more for myself, work on my business, be a bit more creative. And that's when I started posting, and we kind of got to.
So do you think you have seen, do you think you have seen great progress, or you think your followers have grown, your following have grown ever since you started posting consistently on Instagram?
Totally. Yeah, 100%. There's no secret. Like it's just about posting your work, sharing your process, sharing your journey, your struggles, being authentic. And it, like I wasn't posting much. I was posting maybe one post every 2 months. So I had like a very small following. I still had a bit of a following because I had done typism. I was still posting a few of my typography, like hand lettering projects, but it wasn't really consistent, and I wasn't sharing the behind the scene or anything. I was just sharing the final product, so it wasn't really engaging or anything. So yeah, as soon as I started posting more, which actually started just before COVID, I kind of had this idea in mind of kind of going back to what I love instead of just doing client work. So I started posting a lot more, all of my process, even things that were not perfect, and sharing how I do my project, how I work on it, what tool I use, and sharing a lot more. And I went from 5,000 followers to 30,000 followers in less than a year. So
wow.
It just shows that it's all about sharing.
Yes, exactly. Sharing and showing exactly what the people need to know, need to see, right? Yeah. Exactly what it is.
Sharing the process, I think it really, really helps.
Yes. So you mentioned you started building your own business in the middle of the pandemic. Would you mind telling us what is the most important skills to start your own small business, given that you have, you're kind of in this fresh?
Yes. So this most important skill, I would say, I've always said it's to be willing to learn constantly. So as a small business owner, you will have to be doing everything. So you're going to be doing the accounting, the marketing, you're going to be doing clients and everything. So you're going to be art director, making everything. So you will need to be able to learn and be willing to learn. So I, for example, started doing online courses, as you may know, right after the pandemic. So I had no idea how to film a course. I had no idea how to edit the videos, how to launch it or anything. I had absolutely no idea. So, but I was willing to learn. So I think that's what really makes the difference. I was ready to just start, give it a go, learn from my own mistake, do something that's not perfect. But I was really ready to try, ready to learn, ready to do my best. And it happened. So now I'm up to my 4th online course, and I feel like they're just getting better and better because every time I do a new course, I'm learning from my mistakes and trying to improve every time. So I think that's one of the most important skill, I would say, when you're starting an online business or starting your own freelance journey or whatever. So it's willing to be willing to learn.
willing to learn and being relentless no matter what.
Yes, totally.
Yes. And you mentioned you are already in your fourth course, and are you still doing client work on the side, or you're purely teaching?
Yes. So I'm actually doing a lot of different things, and that's something that I've learned along the way throughout my journey, is that you can't just rely on one source of income. And that was my biggest mistake as a freelancer. I was only doing client work. I was just doing client-based work, and I was pretty much just relying on word of mouth, and always like thinking, okay, my clients, they like me, they like the work I'm doing, so they will come back to me anyway, and there will always be work coming in, which was true for a while. I got really lucky, to be honest. At the start, I was very lucky because I got a lot of work coming in, which doesn't happen for everyone in the freelance
Yes.
business. But for me personally, I got lucky because word of mouth, like I said, my clients were really happy. I was always trying to deliver more and making my client happy, so they were always like recommending me, and I had a lot of work coming in, and I had those clients that were paying me weekly. So I was like, oh, it's safe. I have this weekly income coming in and always doing work. But yeah, it all of a sudden kind of stopped because one of those particular clients kind of sold their business without any notice. So it was kind of scary. And then also COVID happened. So I had no work coming in. And that was my biggest mistake, not having any other source of income and not being prepared for that. So you have to constantly be on the look for a new job, always market yourself, share your work so you can find new clients, do client outreach, and also have like multiple sources of income. So I was still lucky because I'm teaching at university as well, but only just one day a week. So that doesn't cover all of my expenses, but it was still that. But now that like all of this happened, I know I've learned from my mistakes. You can't just rely on one source of income. So at the moment, I am doing client work, yes, but I'm also really focusing on generating multiple sources of income, which comes from teaching at university, doing client projects, and also selling online courses and digital resources. So it's something that has really changed my entire system. So because before all of that, before I was kind of diversifying my income, I was only doing client work. So I was saying yes to everything pretty much. I was always not desperate, but almost. I was always like, oh yeah, I'll do this job even if it's cheap. I'll try and not spend too much time on it, but I'll do it. But now that I have enough money coming in from different sources, so my online courses, my digital resources, I can say no to smaller job and really focus on trying to find the job that I want to work on and that's going to pay me well. So yeah,
that is so true. And for me, I discovered that when I had my myofascial pain, and I thought like, oh my goodness, if I cannot do client work, because when I do lettering work, that's the reason why I stopped, by the way. I had this myofascial pain syndrome. So when I work on my lettering, it is super painful. Super painful. Yeah. So I had to stop. And I was like, what am I going to do? I have lost my source of income. What am I going to do? And then I focused on teaching. And that is exactly what I am helping my clients with right now. How can you diversify your income so you are not solely reliant on client work? Because when you do, you have no control of it. You don't know when the clients are coming. But if you have your own more controlled income, like digital products, courses, digital resources like you were talking about, your income is continuous, and meaning you are not at the mercy of the clients who might or might not come your way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're no longer desperate and you can choose.
Yeah. So
you've got like so much more secure as well. Like I used to stress out like not being able to pay my bills because I was like, oh, I don't have much work coming in this month. But now that I know, okay, I've got all of this like little income stream, even if they're very tiny, it's still that comes in and on a regular basis, and that's a lot safer. And
yes. And you mentioned something interesting that really caught my attention. You mentioned about saying yes to every client there is, and then you mentioned about when it's cheap, when they're paying cheap, you spend less time on it, and then you move on to the next project. That is really interesting because I have been teaching people that, and I know that a lot of creatives have been accepting, so many creatives have been accepting and saying yes to every client there is. But that is a great discussion to have, don't you think? That when you are paid low, tendency is you're either not going to enjoy the project or you're going to spend way less time on it because you are not paid well. But if you are paid worthy, like a higher offer or higher payment, you are going to spend a lot more time on a project and make sure that you are going to over deliver. But I think that even given your level of work, which I have seen, I think even if it's a small project, it's still going to be awesome.
That's the problem. It's like, even if it's you think in your head, okay, I'm only gonna spend like 2 hours on this job, you're gonna spend more time. So that's why it can never be cheap. Like it's never going to be a very quick, cheap project. Like, because the client is going to end up having changes, and then something happens and you have to spend an extra hour on it. And no, it's something that I used to do. I used to just think, okay, I'm just going to do this quick job. It's just a small ad. I'll do it quickly and then I'll resize it. It's only going to take me an hour. But an hour in your day is worth a lot more than you think. Like because that was my thing. I was focusing so much on doing all of those tiny little jobs just for a small amount of money. Whereas now I'm focusing all of my time working on those digital products that will make me more money in the future. So I'd rather spend an hour working on a digital product that is for me, that is for my business, and that's going to serve me for the future, rather than work on a small project that's not worth a lot of money, and then that will be just forgotten about. So It's all about trying to find what's really valuable for your business. So you might think, okay, this project is quick $500 that I will get at the end of the week. But if you spend the same amount of time working on, I don't know, maybe you're creating a new typeface or a new brush set for Procreate or whatever it might be, like a InDesign template that's going to generate a lot more money over the months, it's worth a lot more than $500. So you might as well spend the time on this. And it's something that took me a very long time to understand, because I've always had this idea in the back of my mind of doing digital products and sell stuff on Creative Market and stuff like that. But I was always like, oh no, I have so much work. I'd rather work on the client job just now, because it feels like you're working for no money. Because when you make the product, it's like you're not getting money straight away and you're not guaranteed it's going to work. So it's kind of scary at the same time. But now that I figured out how to do it and I'm seeing the results, I'm like, yeah, no, there's no point for me working on the small jobs anymore.
Yeah.
And it's something that I had kind of discovered from a friend of mine while I was working at that that design agency, when I just started out. She was the one telling me, oh, you should sell digital product. You should sell Photoshop presets and Photoshop brushes and things like that, because I sell some and I make an extra $600 a week. I'm like, what? And I never did it because exactly for those reasons. I was like, oh no, I'll just do my client work first because it's more important and it's more guaranteed I'll make money straight away. But now that I think about it, I'm like, I should have spent all of this time trying to generate income stream that's going to work by itself and be,
you
sort
don't
of
have
do anything.
Yeah, it's sort of like the short term and the long term goal, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That is really, really amazing that you have shared that with us, because not many people know that somehow you need to be an essentialist. You need to work on the things that are giving you way more value in the future as opposed to
Yes.
just now. But of course, there's also this underlying problem of, hey, we have bills to pay. I have to be
Totally
working with
understand.
something right now so that I can have money. We have all been there, right? We've all
Yes.
been there. That is the reason why so many creatives have been doing almost everything that comes their way. And that's also the reason why we tell so many creatives, if you want to go freelancing and you still have a job, make sure that you leverage your day job so that you can have a safety net and
Yes.
not worry about the money that's not going to come in right away because
Yes.
of your freelance job. And so many people are still making that mistake, diving right into freelancing and leaving their day job, thinking that, oh, this is going to be the next best thing. It's not. It is not going to happen overnight. So it is
Yeah.
going to take time. So if you're a creative listening right now and you're thinking of leaving your day job, make sure that you have at least 8 months worth of money to pay your bills in your bank account so that you are not strapped for cash and you're not just accepting any client that comes your way, because the minute that you start accepting low ball clients, word will come out and so many more of them are going to come your way. But
Yes.
if you start accepting high paying clients, the same thing is going to happen. More
Yes.
of them is going to come your way because they know that you are accepting only clients that are paying you really, really well. Well,
100%. Yes.
100% yes. Now, I know that you have quite a unique moving on to the interview. This is really getting interesting, and I love diving into what's going on in your brain, given that you started in the pandemic and now you've gotten quite a number of clients. You have made your own business, you've built so many products and courses. How do you find the motivation and how do you stay motivated while doing all of these many things, like developing courses, working for clients, developing different products? Aren't you getting tired of it all?
Well, I'm not getting tired of it, because I used to get tired of doing client work because I was saying yes to jobs I didn't like. But now that I've kind of managed to get more time and get more money coming in and I can choose my client, I can really work on the project I love. So I feel like all I'm doing is something that I love doing. So it doesn't feel like work that much.
Oh, yeah.
Now that I can say yes to the project, I can choose, do I really want to work on this? Is it going to bring me value? Is it going to bring value to my business? Am I going to enjoy it? Then I know that if I say yes, I'm going to have a great time doing the job. It's not going to be painful. Whereas before that, when I was saying yes to every small job, I was kind of like dreading the phone calls. I wouldn't want to open my emails because I was like, oh no, I'm sure there's going to be more changes. And all of my clients, they wanted everything done so quickly. They wanted the cheapest price and they didn't even care if it was good or if it wasn't. They just wanted it to do the job, But yeah, now that I'm working on things I love, things I've chosen to do, it's a lot more enjoyable. And every things that I sell as well, like even my online courses, it's something that I am passionate about. So it's always a subject that I enjoy. So I love hand lettering. I love creating like realistic letter forms. I love playing with colors, textures, shadows, and dimensional effect and all that kind of thing. So teaching that to my student, it never feels like work. It always feels enjoyable. So that's like one way of like getting motivated and doing what you love. It really helps. So you can manage to like not be after money so much so that you can do the things you love. I would recommend going that path. Like you don't want to go down the path where you have to do all the work possible to make money and then say no to the things you love. You want to be able to get money in a way that you can do something you love. So I know it's difficult. It doesn't happen for everyone, but it took me 8 years. So I know exactly how everybody might feel about that. But if you can try and generate an income from doing the things you love, that's the best thing you can do to find motivation. And then if you can help people at the same time, I mean, that's all you want to be doing in your life. You want to do something that you love, that generate money, and that helps others, I think. So if you can find that one thing that kind of does that, you'll find the motivation. Like you'll have no problem waking up every morning, going to work and doing what you love.
Just getting up in the morning, ready to face everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. I noticed that you mentioned 8 years. Actually, you mentioned it earlier, so I paid attention to it. So you said you were working on your business for 8 years. So, and all of us have different journeys. Some people, they have been working on the business for 6 years, 3 years, 2 years. So when did you notice that you have been seeing a lot more progress, or that, oh, this is it. This is exactly what the business. Because when I started differently. I started as a blogger and as a graphic designer. Then I ventured into lettering and now into coaching and business. So when did it start for you? Like literally, when did you notice that this is the right business for me?
When I was waking up excited to go to work. So that was for me like the biggest difference.
About how many years in?
So that was after COVID, to be honest.
After COVID.
Before COVID, I was in that like very low phase where I was unhappy. I was not happy with the work I was doing. My clients, they were not the ideal client for me. I started to not enjoy designing anymore because of that. So I wasn't creating at all for myself. And I kind of like was doing other things on the side. So I kind of started doing pole fitness competitions. So that kind of took over a lot of my time and energy. So I kind of put design on the side for a bit, and which was such a shame because at the end of the day, it's really my number one passion, and that's what I love doing, and that's what I'm excited about every day. So it was like just before COVID, I actually started a course with Dominique Falla, and where she kind of helps you figure out what she calls your creative superpower. What is it that is about you that you can use to actually help people? So exactly what I was saying just before, what is it that you love that you can make money from and that's going to help others? So, and it was exactly what I had in the back of my mind, creating resources to help people design and helping them with learning new skills, so teaching online courses. So I had that in the back of my mind, and that was about 2019. So that was, maybe 6 years into the business. After 6 years, I was like, I'm not enjoying it. I felt like I was working more, but not making more money. I was just working more to please my clients and not doing something I love. So I was like, I need to do something. I need to do online courses. I need to sell stuff or maybe do more typography. I don't know. I didn't really know at the time. And I never really did it. But then, like I said, COVID happened and I had no choice but to try that.
You were forced into it. So you see, there's beauty when you are being thrown into a curb and you are forced to do something. And a lot of us are still waiting for the right time, the perfect moment, starting until we are ready. But you know what? You will never be ready for anything.
No, really, exactly. Right? And I'm always the one saying, just start. You'll never be ready. Like there's never a better moment than right now to start. But I was guilty of it myself. I was thinking about it, but not acting on it. But I don't regret it at all. And I totally recommend it to anyone who's thinking of starting something freelance, something on their own, or even if you're still working for an agency. I mean, who doesn't want extra income? Like you could have extra income just for selling some tutorials online or like brushes, anything, to be honest.
Yes, and this is the things that people do not see. Now, a person may look at you right now, they might find you on Instagram, see how successful you are, see how great your work is, see how many courses you've been doing, and how many brushes or digital products you are selling. But what they don't know is you have spent so many more years trying and trying and trying, right? And people only see that surface level. They don't look at the deeper side of it. So if there's anyone listening out there who is kind of feeling uninspired right now, know that you are not alone in this journey. We have all been there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask for help as well. Like, it's something I never thought of doing until I kind of did this course with Dominic, and I always thought, oh, I don't need a coach, I don't need anyone to help me, I'll figure it out myself. But to be honest, you do need a coach. You do need to learn from other people's mistakes, because like, you don't want to be doing it when you can avoid doing it. Like, so that's why I love sharing my process, sharing my journey, because hopefully I can inspire people not to do the same mistakes as I did. And like, don't be afraid to spend a bit of money on like a coach or someone that's going to help you along the way and be there to kind of check upon you and put you in the right direction.
Always find a mentor. And Dominic is amazing.
Oh,
she is really amazing. So if anybody doesn't know her yet, she is the person behind Typism.
Yes.
And yeah, now that you mentioned you learned from her, what was the course that she's actually teaching?
So at the moment, she's teaching a different course, which is called
about funnels, right?
Yes. So she's kind of helping young creatives create a funnel to generate income from selling products. So they don't necessarily have to be digital. They can be any type of product, and you can be any type of creative. But the course I did with her was a little bit different. She was still kind of figuring it out, and it was a bit of a mix. But I've known Dominique forever, pretty much. I met her at university when I was studying. So since year one, since 2010, I've been in touch with Dominique, and she's always been the one pushing me and telling me, no, you should do this, you should do that. And when I didn't listen, it wasn't a good idea. But now I'm listening to her.
You should, because she is such an amazing mentor. Maybe we can have Dominic on the podcast soon. So
yes,
if you're listening, I know you are. So yeah, maybe we could have her someday. Now, I know that we have all these talk about business, and let's move a little bit into your creative side, because I would not let this episode end without talking about your creativity, because I know a lot of people are also looking forward to understanding more about how Aurelie Maron works. So you have had an amazing work. How do you find all of these inspiration? I've seen vintage inspiration, and you are doing all of it in the iPad, which is pretty amazing, by the way, because I have never used the iPad for a long time. You know, I used it. I did lettering the old school way, like pen, paper, and then digitizing everything in Illustrator. And then when the iPad came out, that's the time when I started, moving away from lettering. But yes, how do you find all of this inspiration from all of your creative work?
Yeah, so it's funny that you say that, because I was the same. I was always using pencil and paper, and then scanning and then vectorizing in Illustrator. That was my go-to thing. And then I went to a Typism conference, and I can't remember who it was, but someone was speaking, and they were showing off all of the things they could do on an iPad. I was like, that's it. I'm buying an iPad now. I'm like using it every day. But yeah, for me personally, I like to challenge myself. I like to try out as many things as possible, and doing things as often as possible. So being consistent with my work. And I feel like that's what helps me find inspiration. So it's doing challenges. So you've probably seen I've been doing 36 days of type. I've been doing like an October challenge twice, where I kind of have prompts, and I give myself personal restrictions. So I say to myself, okay, this month you're only just going to practice with that. And even though it feels like you're kind of restricted, you have so many things you can't do. For example, I set myself a goal to only use specific colors or specific tools and things like that, or specific format. It really helps me find more inspiration, like find more of what I can do. It's kind of contradictory a bit, but the more restrictions you have, the more creative you can be. So, because yes, like the more, like, people get so scared of staring at a blank page, and when you have so many options, it's almost like you don't know what to do, what to choose. Whereas if you give yourself restrictions and you're like, okay, I'm only going to practice working on this style of lettering today, you can really like explore more options. And that's something like I always recommend my students. Don't like try and do too many things at the same time. Just focus on one thing at a time, but do it consistently. And that's how you kind of will get more creative.
Yes, because when we have limitations, that's when we usually bring our best. That's when we think out of the box. And that's when we develop the most amazing work, because we don't have so many distractions around. We're limited to what we are currently set ourselves.
Yeah. But yeah, that's why I love doing challenges. And I'm actually thinking of creating one myself next year. So it will be like
given that you have been so active in social media now, and people see a lot of you. I see all of you all over the place. But you told me that before all of this, you were posting barely anything in a month. So from your experience, I want to understand, like, how did you develop your own, style of showing up on Instagram so that you can actually show people what it is that you do? Mm-hmm. And how can you make it more compelling for them to follow you?
So yeah, it's like I get that question a lot as well. Like, how do you find your style, or how do you find the style to present your work? It's kind of the same thing. It's like you don't try and find it, you just do it. And the more you do it, the more you'll find it, because your style is like the only thing you can't get rid of, pretty much. So it's like no matter what you do, like no matter how hard you try, it's always going to be there. Like it's almost like your trademark. So for me personally, I've never thought in my head, okay, I'm going to really try and make my own style today, or like develop my style and find what it is that is unique about me. I've never thought about that. So I was just doing more and more, and always trying to do the things I love without thinking about it too much, but always experimenting. And that's, the more you experiment, the more you'll see that you tend to go back to the same technique or the same type of colors or shapes and things like that. And that's how you find your style, I believe.
There's always a pattern.
Yeah, you can see something like emerging out of your work, and without realizing it, it's totally unintentional. And same with posting online. Like I started posting, and then I was trying out different things as well. Like for everything, I like to experiment, see what works, see what doesn't. And I tried posting photos, videos. I tried different type of filming, different angles, different length of videos. I'm posting everywhere. I'm posting on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube. And yeah, you kind of, like, the more you post, the more you realize, okay, this is working, this I like, this I hate, and then that's when you kind of figure out your style and your style of posting. And for me personally, I used to like post just the final artwork, the final Procreate artwork, but that doesn't really get any engagement at all, because people don't see the work that's involved, and they actually don't understand how it's been made. Whereas if I post a video of me doing the thing, people love it, because they can see all of the process, all of the hard work, how it started, and they're like, oh my God, that's crazy how you went from this to this. And that's what really creates engagement, I think, being able to see the process And it's like addictive. Like videos are so addictive. Once you start watching, you got
That is so true. That is so true. That's the reason why we keep watching so many videos these days. And I think that's also the reason why Instagram has shifted from favoring more videos as opposed to photos, because that is where the engagement is. And you know, all of these platforms, they thrive when people stay in the platform. And that's also the reason, the thing that we need to leverage on. If these platforms are leveraging on videos because they thrive on it, because they know that people are consuming a lot of videos, then we need to think about how we strategize our content as well.
Actually,
we need to give exactly what the algorithm is looking for. Am I right?
Totally. Totally.
Oh my goodness. So this has been an amazing, and I wish I can keep you a lot longer. But I know that you are still busy and you still have a lot of work to do. But I want to ask you, number one, first let me ask, and I want you to share to everybody who's listening right now, where can they find Aurelie Maron online? And if you also have any thing you wanted to promote, any courses you wanted to promote and share with our listeners, let us know about it.
So the best way to find me is on Instagram. So it's at Aurelie Maron. And like I said just before, I'm everywhere. So if you're on TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, it's at Aurelie Maron as well. And on Instagram, it's just the easiest. Send me a DM, or there's my email address. You guys can send me an email anytime if you have any type of question. I'm always more than happy to help. So that's where you can find me. And also my Instagram is where you can find all of my online courses if you're interested, all of my resources. So I sell mostly Procreate toolkits. So like usually a pack of brushes, color palettes, shapes, and textures. So yeah, that's where you can find everything. And I'm currently working on this very new course where I'm going to be helping you guys to actually create digital products from scratch, because I kind of had this trouble for years. Like I said before, my friend, she was selling digital resources, but I was always like, I don't have the time. I don't know where to start. I don't think anyone will ever buy my stuff. So now that I know how to overcome all of those struggles, I'm going to share them in an online course and hopefully help as many designers as possible to kind of
yes,
yes,
and don't worry, guys. I am going to dig all of those links so that it is a lot easier to find out in the episode show notes. And yeah, I will be putting it all in the show notes, and you can go to mydeleon.com/Aurelie Maron so that you can find all of it. I'm going to put on all of her videos on YouTube if I have to. I probably will. And yes, all of the links to her courses and her toolkit, specifically the Procreate toolkit, because I know you guys are dying to have those. So one final thing before we let Aurelie Maron go. So you have been such an amazing guest today, but would you, if there's one thing that you would want to share to our listeners right now, what will it be?
Like I've said before, always be willing to learn. Always be a beginner. You will never stop learning. So, yeah. That's my number one tip for anyone wanting to start anything. Yeah. Never stop learning.
Never stop learning. Because when you are a beginner, you have nothing to lose.
Exactly.
Just dive right in.
And everything to learn.
Yes. All right. So thank you so much, Aurelie. And once again, if you didn't catch up on all the links that we said, they will be in the episode show notes. And if you like this episode, leave us a review, because every time you do, you help the podcast get discovered by other creatives who need the inspiration to pursue their own creative dreams. And as always, keep creating and stay confident. Until next time, this is Mai.